Hello everyone. Hi. Okay, today like I said last week, I was going to give you my recipe for baking bread, homemade bread. So here I will be showing you five sorry six ingredients you can use to make bread in your house without buying outside. Very simple, very easy. And again, for some people it will be seven, for some it will be six ingredients. So but for today I'll be using seven ingredients to make this bread, but it's optional. You can actually use six ingredients. For me, I'm using seven. Okay, I'm going to explain everything. Let's go straight to the video. Okay, so guys, here we go. Okay, this is my bread maker. Okay, this bread maker, I bought it. That was actually one of the motivation that made me I started baking bread at home. But over time, I'm like, I don't like the shape of the bread, I had to, get baking pan. But for today, the only thing I'm doing with this bread maker, I'm just going to be using this bread maker to knead my bread, do the kneading for the bread. Okay, this is the pan for the bread maker. And first and foremost, you will be needing your flour. So this I already measured on my scale. Okay, I have a homemade scale, but for those people that don't have a scale, you would need 200 ml or 200 milliliter, I think 200 ml of flour cup, right? You need three cups of flour. Okay, I'll be putting my flour here because this is 500, these 3 cups already. Here I already have my sugar. I've already measured it. So usually I use 500 grams of sugar. I use 500 grams of sugar. You can use more if you want. I don't like it too sweet, so I use just 50 grams. I don't know, let me try with the tablespoon to see how many tablespoons it comes out, in case for people that don't have this thing at home. So it's 1, 2, 3, let's say 5 tablespoons. That's what you get. 500, I think 5 or 4. Yeah. And then I have my butter. This is like 70 grams of butter. You can do more if you want. This is 70 grams. And then I have my liquid milk. I usually use evaporated milk. It's very optional. You can use your powdered milk, and then you can use your powdered milk. For me, I don't like to use, not like I don't like to. If I have it, I will use it. But for this is more economical for me, so I use evaporated milk. This is not much. So what I do is, since I'm using evaporated milk, I have to add water. You can use evaporated milk for all of them if you want it too nice. But for me, I'm mixing mine. So I have like 200 millimeter or 200 grams. I don't know how the measurement is, but I have 200 here, and then I'm going to be putting the rest of the milk in it to get what I want. So, but let me reduce the water. All right, I'm gonna leave it here to pour in. So this is my yeast. So this is already active yeast already, so I don't need to activate it anymore. So I need like a tablespoon, 1 tablespoon. I use 1 tablespoon. Sometimes I add a little, sometimes I just use just 1 tablespoon, depending on how full. And then and then you take your salt. This is half and quarter tablespoon of salt. Okay, and then this is why I said it's For some people, it's 6 ingredients. If you don't want to use egg, it's optional. Sometimes I don't use egg, sometimes I use egg. It's very optional if you want. So I'm using egg for today. So, but I'm using 1. You can use 2 if you want for 500. But for me, I use 1. It's okay for me. For some people, you can skip it. It's not a must. Your bread will still come out nice. I've done that a lot. Like 90% of the time I make bread, I don't use egg. Sometimes if I remember, I use egg. So here we have 350 grams of, I think it's 350. Let me scale. Let me use my scale. Use my scale. Grams. This is like 400 grams of water. But if you're using this cup, it's 350. 350. This is it. 350 here. So I'll pour all of that. So because I'm using the bread maker, I pour everything at once. I don't have to do them separately. So the bread maker will just finish the whole work for me. For people that are kneading, you can, first of all, mix with your hand. Let it have all the let it all incorporate before you now put it on your slab and then maybe start kneading and all of that. So I'll come back, I'll put it into my bread maker for 20 minutes. I'll allow it knead for 20 minutes. If you're using your hands, it might be less, but I'll allow it knead for 20 minutes. Okay guys, I'm back. This is 20 minutes of kneading. So I would be ordinarily, I won't bring it out ordinarily. I would just leave it here to rise. I'll just check the texture of what I want and leave it here to rise. But for the purpose of this teaching, I'll have to bring it out to show you how the texture of your bread should look like. I don't want to use flour. I want to use oil so that it doesn't everywhere. So this is what your dough should look like. This is what it should look like. Yeah, it might be gummy. Yeah, it's fine. It's very much okay. So it should be stretchy like this. Very emphasis on very, very soft. Very soft. It should be very soft. Very, very important. The reason why it should be soft is because if you don't make it this soft to the extent that it will even be gummy. For some people, I've watched videos where they'll be like, hey, it mustn't be gumming your hands. The reason why it's no longer gumming my hands is because of the oil that I used to moisturize this place. That's why it's no longer gummy. But not for some people, it will feel gummy, but not too thick, not too strong, right? So the reason why I like it like this is just to get my soft texture, not just after baking. The next day your bread will still be very soft. So that's one of the reasons why I like it this soft. So but if you make it strong, I can remember when I was learning, I did so many errors, like so many errors. Some days, the first day it's going to be strong. The first day is going to be very soft, right? The next day it's like stone cold. So over time I discovered this is the best option for me. Most times it's even more soft, more lighter than this. Most times, right? Most times it's lighter than this. Depends on the mode. But for the purpose of this, you see the way it is, like it's not thick. This is how your texture of your bread should look like. So for some people, they would put it in the bowl for, usually you're supposed to put it in the bowl for like 1 hour plus, and then afterwards you'll come back for it and then punch it and then roll it. But we are going to be doing a different method because I've tried so many methods just to get the perfect homemade bread to taste and to feel like the ones we're buying outside. So what I do, my own style, what I do is that I put this back. You can put yours into the bowl, But for me, I put this back into my bread maker, because my bread maker, I can put it on I can leave it there for it to rise. So what I do 30 minutes inside my bread maker for it to rise. Okay, and then afterwards I'm gonna bring it out and then put it into my bread pan and leave it for another maybe 30 to 45 minutes again for it to now poof nicely inside the bread, inside the pan, without having to, you know, punch it in again and do all of that. This way you get a very nice, fluffy, soft, and you know, the whole thing you want in your bread. I will see you in 30 minutes after. We'll come back in 30 minutes. Okay guys, we're back. So I'm going to be bringing out 30 minutes. You see the way it is very, 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 very soft. So if you notice, I've put sprayed a little bit of flour on it. At this point, then I'll divide it into two. And then use my scale. Get my scale. I want both of them to be the same thing. Okay. Here we have 545 grams. 590. So let me add a little bit here. 560. 577. Not much difference. And then I'll come here. I have a roller, but I don't have strength for the roller. So if you noticed, so you see. So guys, this is my pan. I got it from Amazon. So this is my pan. I'm going to be putting the bread. So this is what it looks like. I'll just put it in and then cover it. This is what it looks like, the second one. So you can actually do whatever you want. At this point, you can play around with your dough. You can do different style, anyhow you want it. But for me, I don't do too much. So here, I'll cover this and then leave it for another 30 to 45 minutes to rise again, and then we'll start baking. And then when we get to that point, I'll show you how many degree you should put your how many degree you should use for the baking and how many minutes. Okay guys, see, I'm going to be preheating my oven bake. So if your oven shows 350, I don't like to bake on 350. I like to bake on 310. And then I will set my timer to 310, and then I set my timer for 40 minutes because for 40 minutes. So why? Because I'm baking on 310, it's going to take time for the oven to preheat. Okay, here we go guys. This is the result for the bread. It has it has been proofed up again. You see, this is the result of the bread. Now I'm just going to wait for like 10 minutes more for my oven to preheat. So I won't be, sometimes I cover it with this to get that, you know, normal bread. But sometimes I like to leave it like this. So whenever my bread is not too much, like when it's not so much, I cover it. But like this, I really want it to like have space to, you know, poof up. So I'm going to be putting it in the oven like this without covering it. So guys, this is the result after leaving it for extra 45 minutes. This is the results, and I'm just waiting for my oven to preheat. Okay, I'm just waiting for my oven to preheat on 305 degree, 305, 310 for 40 minutes. And then it's my, because I'm preheating the oven for 310 degree, so it's going to take like 10 minutes to preheat, and then I'll put my bread and allow it bake for 30 minutes, and I'll come back to show you the results and see you guys later for the results. All right guys, moment of truth. Do you know that I thought I was making a video? I had already opened the bread thinking I was making a video, but apparently I wasn't making a video. I'm so sorry guys. So I won't be cutting this bread anymore. I've already done the cutting here. So this is what we have. This is what it looks like, you know. So the reason why I wanted you guys to make it to be very soft, even if it's warming your hand, no problem, as long as it's soft, is, you know, when it's hot, it's very, you know, it's very soft when it's hot. But when it gets cold, if you make your dough to be strong, it will be very strong. So now, this is what we have here. And I assure you, by the next day, even when it gets cold and you want to eat it, you will still have the same results. And then you will not regret it. Okay guys, I hope you learned a lot from this today. See you next time for a new tutorial. Bye guys. Guys, this is day 2 with this bread. See how it is, day 2, very soft, and then here still very soft. So when you don't make your dough a little bit soft, it's going to be strong the next day. But you see, this feels like the bread that we'll buy from the market. You see, you see.